Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Rondo. Today we have an action-packed episode for you. Let's get right into it. Jurgen Klopp's new job as global head of soccer at Red Bull. And it's received a lot of backlash and criticism to Jurgen Klopp Sellout to take the job as global head of soccer at Red Bull.
This is an all-star hire for Red Bull Leipzig. So let me take it from that end too. If you can get Jurgen Klopp, if you're Red Bull Global, you 100% do it. This is excellent from their point of view. RB Leipzig and Red Bull Global in general has been such a sticking point to fans in that country that it probably hurts them even more. So I think that in the world of it being nuanced, in the world of it being different circumstances, like Jurgen Klopp of anybody, like I think that stung the most rather than just say if it was Pep Guardiola or insert any of like the biggest managers in the world.
Yeah, he really built his brand on that, like romanticism, being a real guy who's like anti the big corporate nature of the game right now.
I recently just came off a trip to RB Leipzig to see their they had a bunch of journalists and other people come, really just learn about the culture of the club and what they have moving forward. And we asked Johan Plenge, who's basically the managing director over at Red Bull Leipzig, if they seen some of the bad press that they got for Klopp. And honestly, he had the best response. He's like, hey, as long as they're talking about it. So it's one of those things where RB Leipzig, they know they're one of the most hated clubs. So it's one of those things where it's like, listen, they want people talking about it. Their goal is to grow in America as much as possible. So bad press or good press, listen, as long as people are talking about it, I think they're going to be happy.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting segue into the conversation about like group ownership in world soccer in general. So we have Red Bull, right? They got Leipzig. They have a club in Brazil. They have Red Bull New York. They just bought a stake in Leeds recently and are now famously the kit sponsor for this year. Between them and Citigroup and a lot of other kind of lower profile clubs and ownership groups that are taking hold around the world. You think it's dangerous, that model, for like the sporting integrity of the game?
I think from a standpoint of fans and fan engagement, I think it kills a lot of clubs. Like, for example, going to NYCFC games at Yankee Stadium, you could just basically tell that City Football is like, listen, until this stadium's being built in 2027, we're not going to really put money towards marketing the club, promoting the club, because we don't even have our own stadium there at first. And I think it's just one of those things where it's like these clubs, they see the benefit of having a smaller club to be kind of like a farm team to send your players to go to. But I don't know if they really understand the culture and the history of these clubs that they have prior to buying into them. And I think that's very dangerous.
I was at a presentation where an American owner that has a multi-club kind of model in Europe, like the way he was talking about it was like asset management. It was like, well, if one of our portfolios doesn't have a right back, but one of them has three, we can just move that person there. It's like, bro, like this ain't stocks. Like that's a human being that you're moving like club to club. And like that gets lost. I don't love it. And like it promotes players moving teams all of the time, which again, like takes a little bit of the soul out of the game, takes the soul out of a club and its supporters. So like in that end, I don't love it, but like, unfortunately, you get it with the business sense of it, right?
No, that's interesting. And that brings up another good point. So do you think there are any benefits for players for this system? Because we look at a guy like Tyler Adams, who started at New York Red Bull, and then went over to RB Leipzig, where it's really like helped him grow a ton in his career when he was a young player in the same system, but playing for like a Champions League level club.
I believe there's a benefit when you're on the smaller club. And look, like, for example, Savinho had an incredible season for Girona, and he also played well at PSV. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he was ready for that step up to City and that next level. And you're seeing he had some incredible performances with City so far, and some great assists to Haaland in the Champions League. So I think it does benefit if a player stands out at that smaller club.
It can benefit players, like in Tyler Adams' case. He spent his entire youth career with the Red Bulls where he's playing that system. So when he gets into the second team, it's second nature to him. When he goes from the second team to the first team, it's second nature. When he goes to the Red Bulls, to Red Bull Leipzig, he doesn't have to think like he's perfect for that system. But like that, I think, is more abnormal than the regular case, where like kids might sign homegrown contracts with the Red Bulls or NYCFC with the idea of like maybe you'll go to the parent club. It doesn't happen that often. Like these kids do get benefits like every winter. Some of the top talents from Red Bulls and NYCFC go to City and Leipzig or Salzburg for training sims. That's very valuable too. But like, how many of those are going to those parent clubs? And when you're those parent clubs, you're looking at it as a math equation. If we get one Tyler Adams every 4 years, that's profitable. That's phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Like, so how does that go?
Yeah, it's tough.
And it'll be interesting to see how NYCFC, apparently they might sell their young left back Christian McFarland to Man City. It's happening. So we'll see. It's interesting to see, apparently he's getting some youth national team call-ups.
So we know that global fans and people in the U.S. too love to, for lack of a better word, kind of shit on MLS for what they perceive as lack of atmosphere, lack of supporter culture, lack of fan culture. But as we see in the Red Bulls playoff win over Columbus this past weekend, like playoffs have kind of been jumping so far. So what do these moments from MLS playoffs so far say about like the state of supporter culture in the league?
This is awesome to see it in the playoffs. Like that stadium in particular, it's bumping when it's filled. It wasn't even filled in that game, right? And like that was an awesome atmosphere. That was an awesome game. So like I love kind of watching these markets all find their own voice, find their own niche, find their own, I guess, heroes, culture, experience, lore, all that stuff, like the new and the old. And for me, like the big picture moving it forward view is like, how do you try to recreate that in May? How do you recreate that in August? Like the dog days of an MLS season.
I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to always show out for playoffs. These games matter. They mean the most during the season. You see they've taken kind of like a page from the NBA and having that 3-game series that American sports fans love to have. So it'll be interesting to see how that moves on in the future. But obviously, you know, you could tell the fan bases and the culture and the environment of these matches have been really great so far.
Yeah, just wait, man. The first MLS Game 7 is going to go so hard when they...
the round of 26.
Listen, my legs would fall off.
Your muscle going to be falling off like brisket.
Insane.
So, Raheem, you just came back from a Euro trip. You saw games at a variety of different levels. You had the Champions League at RB Leipzig, and then you were at a championship stadium for Preston North End, Arsenal for a Carabao Cup. What did you notice about the support and the atmosphere at those games, and what do you think MLS has to learn from that?
Listen, man, it's 100% a culture thing. You go to a Preston North End game, you're seeing a grandfather, a father, and his son, all fans of Preston, passed down through the family. It's a cultural attachment to the club, to the environment. This is something that the United States lacks because at the end of the day, we didn't become soccer fans. I mean, at least I didn't become a soccer fan from my dad passing it down to me. You know, we just ended up liking the game. I played FIFA 06. That's how I fell in love with soccer, me personally. But it's going to be a cultural thing, man. We're going to have to pass this game. We're the generation that's going to be passing soccer down to our children and truly creating a long-lasting legacy. With that being said, MLS has made a lot of strides with the league coming out, in 1996? Correct. So the league is 2 years older than me, for example. So, you know, I ain't ready for kids yet, you know what I'm saying? But when I do have my kids and I pass the game down, hopefully we can start to create a legacy and environment where the game is something that is culturally within our culture and what we're passing down to our children.
And this is such a young league. You even look at it around at like the NBA or the NFL or the MLB, like that has a lot more history too, right? Like we're all American kids. Like I've got from my dad talking about going to baseball or football games with his dad, right? Like stuff like that we are going to do with our kids, but like we just haven't had the time yet because no time has elapsed for this league to get its own history. So you can't rush history. You can't buy history. What you need to do is continue improving, continue making lasting marks in your communities with those clubs so that there are legacy fans, there are generational fans. That's all coming. And I think that the league is in an awesome spot.
The Preston North End connection is really interesting. It ties it all together for like historical context as to how young the league is. Because when we were doing the formats for like our fan video at that shoot that you were at Preston, that club, Preston North End, won like the first ever football league championship. This was like 1888 or
They were
89.
the first ever Invincibles back in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
They went undefeated for a season. And a lot of people think it's Arsenal, but it's really Preston North End, a small town right near Manchester.
Like
so,
we're talking about the 80s, like the 1880s.
yeah.
If you compare where we are now with like how long MLS has been a thing and its modern equivalent, and you put that timeline back on Preston North End and the football league starting in the 1880s, guys, like it's like 1915. Think about all of the time that has elapsed since then. Sporting history, world history, whatever. Like for the Premier League to get to be the global giant that it is now, and just like soccer and the FA in England specifically, like we're on a really accelerated timeline for development of MLS and soccer and supporter culture in the U.S. So patience is good. Okay, so next up, we're going to transition to one of our classic Rondo segments, Capital J Journalism, the Bogey Truth Test. We got a big bogey bomb to talk about. The potential for USMNT stars to return back to MLS before the World Cup in 2026.
So I'm going to take this in a macro level. Like I'm saying, yes, one current national team star will come to MLS. Like FC Cincinnati tried real hard, came real close with both Wes and McKinney. and with Josh Sargent. I think either one of those are a really good bet to come back before the next World Cup. Like, I'd bet the over on over 0.5 current national team, like stars, not just an American player on the fringes, like the level of what Josie Altidore or Michael Bradley did when they came back to Toronto FC before the 2014 World Cup.
Yeah. What do you think the driving force would be for those guys to leave Europe and come back to MLS?
I can think of many millions of dollars of reasons. That's what I think.
I think for them, a lot of the guys on the men's national team, what I've noticed is like, just like dating and stuff, for example, overseas could be tough just because of like, cultural differences, language barriers, etc. And a lot of them do want to find a woman that's based in America, and I don't blame them, just have someone that's within a space that you're from and that you're accustomed to. And also the bread, man. If they come to MLS, they gonna be showing them that money, bro.
Yeah.
Think about it. If Insigne making 15 million, bro, and if you a prime USMNT player and you see the production that he's giving, bro, if I'm having an agent, if I'm a Wasserman or YMU or whatever these guys, I'm telling you, though, give me my check, run me my bread, bro.
McKinney, I believe, is on something like 2.5 or 3 million euros per season at Juventus. You could quadruple that to come to MLS.
Come on. He could easily make $6 million a season in MLS.
Dude, no, double that 6. Like, that's
12.
That's the kind of range, and like, I don't know what would be broken down for sponsorships versus like team salary, but like, that would be like, again, he's more valuable here than he is to like Juventus, right? Because he's an American star, and particularly in this window ahead of the World Cup coming back. Like, to have a bona fide national team star for your team as the face of your club, it is very valuable in a World Cup.
Yeah, a lot of USMNT fans, I think, would going to be scared at the idea of some of these star guys coming back to MLS.
I don't blame them either. Yeah.
Do you think that's valid to be like to be scared?
Yeah,
of
like look,
development
like
stuff?
man, like again, I know that like I'm the MLS guy here, right? That like I'm gonna be banging the drum for the league, but like obviously Weston McKennie playing at Juventus is better for the national team than him at FC Cincinnati, right? Like, so like I don't blame him. Like, that's a higher level than what MLS has continued to grow and grow and grow. I think it's different for different players. If Weston McKennie was not playing for Juventus, then I'd say absolutely get to FC Cincinnati, get to Chicago, whatever, right? Like, playing is the most important thing. But if you're starting for a high-level European club, obviously nothing beats that.
Yeah.
Do you think if another situation happens where Weston goes back to Juventus next year and they do the same thing over again, you think he's more inclined to come to MLS this time?
Yeah, I would say that the price
The
drops.
third time in a row.
Yeah, I would imagine that the acceptable price might drop.
All right, guys. So transitioning to today's game segment, we got Raheem versus Tom, and we are going over a topic that we can't seem to escape on Goal USA, being Messi and Ronaldo merchants, as people would say.
Comment section,
in our comment section.
up. Zero ball knowledge.
We got 10 trivia questions here. Some are Messi, some are Ronaldo, some are both. Here's how the game's going to work. I'm going to read out the question. If you know that you know it, you're going to raise your hand in the air and say either Portugal or Argentina. First person to claim that they know the answer gets the answer. If you get it right, you get a point. If you get it wrong, you get nothing.
All right, man.
Are we ready for this?
Ready for this, brother?
Ready.
All right, gentlemen. Question number 1. This is a Messi theme. Messi spent most of his professional career at Barcelona. What was his schoolboy team?
Argentina.
Argentina. Go ahead. You got it first.
Yeah. No, you
Rosario.
called it out.
Rosario.
It's incorrect. That's
Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
it. Noel's Old Boys.
yeah, Raheem, you got it.
Rosario?
Rosario's where he's from, but it's not the
That's
name.
tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
1-0 to Hemo.
A 1-0
tough.
Raheem. Let's go.
1-0 to Rahimovic. Come on now.
Question number 2. Which Portuguese team did Ronaldo play for
Port.
before signing for Manchester United?
Portugal. Sporting CP.
Yeah, we got it. All right. Well, 1-1 here. Question number 3. Ronaldo is synonymous with the number 7, but what other number did he wear at Real Madrid?
Raheem. Portugal. Sorry.
The country of Raheem.
I'm bugging.
All right.
Number 9.
Yeah, there you go.
right.
Raheem's got that one. Question number 4. Messi famously retired from international duty in which year before reversing his decision?
Argentina.
You got it.
No,
Yeah, your
I
hand,
got the first
no, Bogey, your hand was up earlier.
2015? 2016. 2016.
Dude, no, yeah.
I know, I said
You said
15
it late.
first.
Yeah, it was
I said 15
2016. It
first.
was after the Copa final loss.
So what? We don't
I
count that
prevented
one.
you from getting a point.
Yeah, so you don't get anything, but you blocked him up. Yeah.
Collect that one. Collect that. Turn that one off.
Question number 5. Ronaldo exclaims which word when celebrating a goal? Before you answer, I need a little bit of a recreation of it here.
Portugal.
Was anybody doing that at the Ballon d'Or ceremony?
Nah,
did you
nobody did that.
Did
Nobody did
Speed
that.
hit one of those at all? Like, as he went sexy?
Nah,
Nah.
unfortunately not. I was looking for it though.
All right, number 6. Messi wore the number 30 at the start of his Barcelona career and is now wears number 10. What other number did he wear for Barcelona?
Oh,
Argentina. 10?
Bogert.
no, I got it. Argentina, 18.
No, neither of you guys, man. You're one off. That was number 19.
Ah!
Sean, what producer Sean? What score are we at now? 3-1, Raheem. Bogert, you gotta we gotta get this ball.
Bogert, you gotta
back.
lock in, bro.
Yeah,
It's
we
tough,
gotta get this
it's
ball.
tough.
You gotta
back.
lock in.
Number 7. Which Portuguese island off the coast of Africa, which also shares its name with a cake, is Ronaldo from?
Portugal, Madeira.
Yeah, there you go. Question number 8. Messi has won a record number of Ballon d'Ors. How many has he won?
Argentina, 8.
4 for Raheem and 1 for Bogert. You can't even turn this around, but we'll just
tough.
just finish them out for.
I
for the
pride
segment.
myself on having been out of the Messi versus Ronaldo Twitter this entire time.
Well, welcome back in, buddy.
I don't like any part of this.
Question 9. Ronaldo helped Portugal win the Euros in which year?
Portugal, 2018. Do I keep getting these wrong?
No, I got it.
Oh, it's a World Cup year. Jesus.
I got it. 2016.
Yeah, it was 2016, man. Last but not least, question number 10. Which German multinational sportswear company is Messi an ambassador for?
Argentina.
Oh, Jesus.
Adidas.
Yeah, Adidas.
The
Yeah,
way
it's
that you
easy.
framed the question, I was like, what?
German multinational.
Listen, tell him to score. Tell him to score. Tell him to score.
What do we got? 7-1.
7-1. That's a drubbing, bro.
Congratulations on the 8 to 10-year-old followers you're going to pick up for this.
They're gonna love me. They're gonna love me. They're gonna love me. Oh my God, he knows Ronaldo.
Raheem
Messi
knows
trivia.
ball. Raheem knows ball.
Nah, I
Bogert does
love
not know
that.
ball.
I love that, though.
Bogert
Shout
know-
out, guys. Y'all already know I know my ball, so that's what's up.
Bogert's a journalism merchant. No ball knowledge. All right, so moving on. We're going to have some clip reactions, boys. We got 2 moments from MLF's playoffs from this past weekend. Let's tap in and see what
See
happened.
what they're saying.
The 19-year-old Obed Vargas. And now Herrera is booked.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Listen
That's
to the
insane.
decision.
After review, number 16, spitting, red card, final decision, red card. For Ryan Cesar.
This-
I love how he's walking over to him as he's calling it out. Like in the NFL, they stop and look. He's like walking over like, dude, you're done.
The part that bothers me the most, that was the most obvious correct yellow card imaginable. What was he arguing? And then to spit at the team, just, bro, like that's awful from the team's best and highest paid player. Like
Yeah.
that's shocking. They lost the series. They're eliminated. 1, 2, 3 Cancun. See you on vacation.
And the worst part about it is, didn't they literally get a red card?
before.
Carrasquilla got a red card the game before for misconduct,
Off the
similar
ball.
off the ball.
Yeah.
So
Lost
this is
their
a
mind.
so this is a problem with Houston Dynamo. I don't know if that's an in-club thing or what's going on, but you're imploding in one of the most important games of the season with 2 of your most important players that you need on the pitch.
Yeah, bro. And you just got to
Shocking.
know better. You're supposed to be like the vet leader of
Shocking.
that team.
That is shocking.
So
Absolutely
stupid.
shocking.
For a guy who's played in Europe, Atletico Madrid, some of the finest clubs in the world, to do that, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Especially at his age too. It's like,
What are
bro,
we doing, bro?
you're in your 30s spitting at people. Come on, man.
Okay, next up, Zach Steffen, friend of goal. Tough play for him here. Let's watch.
Here's Zach Steffen. Oh, and that's deflected. It's going to go in. It's the most extraordinary.
Yeah, what a
goal in
finish right into the bottom corner that is too. Dude, in the 8th minute, that's really that sucks,
tough.
man. That sucks.
That's tough, man. That's tough. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Dude, that's tough. And I saw people on Twitter being like, USMNT staff, hope you're watching. Is it that deep, or is that just like a dumb blunder that you make sometimes?
When you're a goalkeeper, you're on a microscope, man. Any decision that you make could literally affect your team going down. So it's one of those things where it's early in the game. This one just kills the momentum of your team.
Try to clear it at least.
He tried to clear, like, obviously, like, I think it also talks a lot about of our USMNT goalkeeper situation at the moment. You know, a lot of these goalkeepers, I think I've seen a stat on Ethan Horvath. He's letting the most shots per conversion rate in the championship. So I remember when goalkeeper used to be our strongest position at USMNT.
yeah.
Tim Howard, Casey Keller, Brad Guzan, Marcus Hanneman, guys who weren't even touching the national team were mainstays in the Prem.
Tie it back into this game. The Colorado Rapids over 2 games lost 9-1. I know it's not aggregate. It just mattered that they lost both games, but they lost leg 1 5-0 and leg 2 4-1. Not great to head into the offseason like that if you're a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
So I feel for him too.
that's a tough way to end
Feel
it.
for Zach,
He'll be
man.
back.
He'll be back, though.
bounce back. Don't worry. Don't worry.
All right, so we're going to move on now to another Rondo classic, foul or play on. And we're going to start off with reported news that Edu, director of football at Arsenal, is reportedly leaving to go to Nottingham Forest to head up their multi-club situation they have going on. Foul or play on, that's as big a loss for Arsenal as Arteta potentially leaving would be.
I think play on. Like, what they've done in recruitment under Edu has fueled where they are today. And obviously, Edu oversaw the hiring of Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta is a brilliant manager. But if the recruitment is wrong, if it's overpaid, bad transfer fees, bad recruitment strategy, like it doesn't matter if you've got Pep, Klopp or Mikel Arteta as your manager, they don't have the pieces to compete. So if they don't replace Edu well, like this could absolutely be as big as losing Arteta.
I'm going to say play on, man. I think it's super important to have someone in these positions, in these roles with the connections to sign the right players, you know, finding diamonds in the rough like Martinelli, and then also signing, you know, players like Calafiori, Declan Rice, who hit the ground running, and having a mix of that. Arsenal completely changed their culture of their club within the last couple of years, and a large of that was due to Edo Gaspar and the work that he's done with Arteta. So it's going to be a massive loss, and I'm curious to see who Arsenal has who will take over that role, or if they, you know, promote Arteta to also, you know, take or have a bigger role in what goes on behind the scenes beyond, you know, just the pitch. But yeah, it's going to be a very tough man to replace.
Yeah, I mean, running a club in this day and age, especially with how competitive the Premier League situation is for that title race and that top 4 race, like being successful is much more than what you just see on the pitch. In fact, I feel like a lot of success is built off when the cameras aren't on, when you're not watching. So be curious to see how they replace him and how they plan for that moving forward. Foul or play on, Vinny and Madrid acted entitled, not going to the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Raheem, you were there. That's your boy. What do you think?
Oh my goodness, man. Let me tell you guys something. Being at Ballon d'Or ceremony and seeing Vinny not show up was a massive shock to everyone there, because the whole thing, when you go to the Ballon d'Or red carpet, right? Every player is coming, you know, from some of the biggest clubs in the world. You saw the Lamine Yamals, you saw the Harry Kanes of the world, Dani Olmo. To not see a single Madrid player come down that line, you could visibly tell a lot of the journalists, a lot of people were very disappointed. A lot of the show had to do with Real Madrid being there. I don't think Real Madrid felt entitled at the end of the day, because if you really truly feel like someone deserved the award, and I think, me personally, I think Vinny deserved to win. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't have shown up.
So I'll say foul on entitled, because I think that's just way overstepping. Like that's an over criticism, right? For me, we talked about it on the show when you were gone. Well, you were at the Ballon d'Or. We were talking about the Ballon d'Or. And like, I still think Rodri deserved to win, but like it wouldn't have been egregious either way. Like I think both of them had super strong cases, and whether they were first or second, like I just don't get into this, like these like hair splitting as like, oh man, like you were the second best player in the world this year. What a disrespect. Like, oh, you sucked. You were the third best player in the world this year. It's like, dude, like, I don't see it that way. But like, I firmly believe in their ability to choose whether they want to go or not. They earned that right. Only they can make that decision, and they chose.
All right, guys, so that wraps up today's conversation and this episode of the Rondo. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all those great buttons on social media if you enjoyed. Make sure to follow us at Goal USA and get us where you get all of your podcasts: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and clips on Instagram and TikTok. We'll get at you very soon.